Okay, so I figured we'd kind of recap back from the last class if anyone had any questions from the last painting, or if you went ahead and continued on. I know I kind of worked on it. I don't know what I did with it. It's somewhere around here. Well, this is about where I got on mine. Oops. You see. That's where I stopped. There's a lot more I could do to it. I figured I'd just come back maybe on a different day. I think in terms of composition, which is what we've been kind of talking about, I think it's important that we continue that conversation. And especially in this picture, I picked it intentionally. And there's a few things on this picture that I feel we could make it better. And that's actually, with Emma teaching the Procreate class, this would actually help you as well if you have an iPad and can get it. But if not, do your sketching on your notepad. And when I saw this picture, the first thing that came to my mind was I just love these flowers. I love the flowers, the meadow, and actually has snow. So it's like springtime, right? And you're up high in the mountains. And it's unusual to have this amount of flowers, I feel, in a meadow, mountain, that high. So I thought this would be kind of a fun painting to do, a little bit of a challenge. But I think first thing you ask yourself is what I just said. What did I love about it? It was the flowers. Okay, number two, what's my story? My story is going to be about the meadow. And right now we've got quite a bit of, I would say, even amount of foreground, and I'm going to spotlight this, and the sky. So I think while that's okay, if I'm going to be really emphasizing on the flowers, I think I need to do some cropping and editing. This is the part where you as an artist get to have the control over. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to do more about the meadow and not so much about the sky, then I'm going to crop in. And this is kind of where I ended up with. Is a little bit closer up, not so much of the sky, more about the flowers. And it's kind of dark, the printout. You guys have a picture, so hopefully you can bring it up on your computer or your phone. This is kind of like cattywampus. So this to me feels better composition-wise. It's going to be more about the foreground. One thing I want to say is when we're building a good composition and we have a slope like this, this naturally is going to draw our eye off the page. So in order to have it not necessarily slope down, we're going to kind of bring it up a little bit. We're going to bring this so our eye is coming down and then coming here versus down at a slope. We don't really want it going down that like this. The next thing that I'm looking at, no problem, Christina, hi, is look at our trees. So this is telling, right, for perspective. So this tree is hitting this tangent of this mountain. We've talked about this in other classes. This is really hard for the viewer. In the picture, we see, okay, well, it's probably in the front. But if we were to paint that, we really need to make it either the tree is going to fall lower than the mountain or it's going to be higher like this one. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to probably bring it down a little bit, but that's entirely up to you. There's no wrong or right. I do like how this tree does go up. And sometimes some artists will say that's not always great to have the tree or your subject run off the edge of the page like that. I'm okay with it today. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. It's going to be more about this foreground. So right now we're just talking about the design and how we want to set up our painting. And it's important because this is kind of blurred. If I were to put it on my iPad or even zoom in on it, you can see there's just all these valleys. And, you know, if I were to be painting about the mountains, I would include those valleys. I would bring them more to life. But since today is more about the meadow, I'm not going to worry about those valleys and the detail. So what I'm going to do is simplify it. I like this mountain coming down, and, you know, maybe just having this as one mountain in the back, and I could add maybe a little bit as a distance. We'll kind of work that as we get to that, but just keeping in my mind, I'm not going to worry about all these little valleys. Again, remembering what our story is about is the flowers. So now we've worked through our composition and our ideas, and I've sketched it out, which I highly suggest sketching this out because this is part of the design, period. Now we need to think about what colors do we choose, right? How do we even begin this process of choosing? This is something that I kind of do beforehand for you guys in all my classes. And I realized, as I said the last class, sometimes that isn't necessarily helping you because you need to feel confident in, you know, having these somewhat steps or guidelines to follow. So the next step that I ask myself so I don't get too overwhelmed is if you weren't looking at these yellow flowers, there's a lot of green, way more green, and of course some blue because it's distant mountains, but mainly green. So I do this in oil painting is I think about my complementary colors. You can't go wrong with some reds, some pinks, some red violets. This would be what I use as my roadmap. I take a color family, like today I'm going to do some red violets. And just like the process that we were looking at the values, our darkest values is our upright planes. And then as we move to the distance, it gets lighter in value. So I chose red violets for the underpainting. And I'll give you a picture and you can have some time to kind of pick out some colors. I did the darkest dark, I did the lightest light, and 2 mid values. So go ahead and pick out 4 sticks. I will send over what I chose. We're going to just walk through the process. So I threw in this light pink because I am a little bit spur of the moment, like, that other pink might not work or be light enough. Actually, it needs to be moved a little bit. So again, those might be too close in value. And these 2 is what I'm talking about. So that's how I start. So now I've done my design. I've decided I had a lot of green going on. I'm going to go to the complementary color. You can't go wrong there. I do this all the time in other paintings, thinking about what would look good. I like my underpainting peeking through. So the next step is pick out your 4 sticks, and then we're going to sketch this out with just a light. I have a pastel pencil, or you can use a new pastel. You can even use a regular graphite pencil. Just don't press too hard. And we're just looking at simple shapes. So I'm going to just grab my new pastel. This is like a navy blue that I use quite frequently if you've seen past. And you can even, going back to the last class we had with the tracing paper, if it's still feeling like there's just too much detail, you can just, we're just putting in these shapes, right? There's no detail. We've kind of decided that this is going to come up like this, and this is what I'm looking at. And we've got this back mountain, which I think is important. And we've decided this is going to kind of come down a little bit more. Here's our mountain. These trees are going to come up. So we've got our darkest darks. So this would be our dark, number 4. We've got our lightest lights up here. Meadow flowers that I've done before, I always do kind of a path of dark. And the reason why is because I want this foreground plane to be harmonized with this area in our upper painting. So if I were just to do my darks up here and not bring some of this down into here, it would look separate. So bring this path down in here. So we've got our mid values, and probably do a 3 here, maybe a 2, and this is a 3. So this is how I would lay out as a simple. So this would be my 4, this would be my 3, this would be my 2, and this would be my 1.
Marie?
Yes.
Are you going to do the snow on the top right of the hill?
I don't know. I haven't decided.
Okay.
That's something that we could put in. It would be at the very end. So, and I might, that's entirely up to you. I kind of want to see about how the flowers are going to lay in the meadow first, and that putting in the snow may be a little bit of a distraction, and it may not. So good question. I think I'm going to wait.
What did you say for the value of the flowers in the foreground, the triangle of flowers? Is that a 3 or a 2?
Right here.
Yeah.
That's going to be our 4. It's going to be our darkest dark.
Oh, that's all 4. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yep. And I'll send. This is the best beginning process to map out, to keep it simple. And let me see if I can go ahead. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so you know how you now have a blue, it looks like a path coming down to the front?
Yep.
Did you change? So in the drawing, it looks as though that was one continuous mountain with the other.
It is. So this is our underpainting. This is part of Pastels that we get that lovely layering effect, right?
Okay.
And so with that being said, it's a good question. We have to imagine what's underneath those flowers, what's underneath all of that foliage. We've got dirt, we've got ground, and in order to not have the flowers like just float everywhere and not look like it's part of the ground, we need to create a path. We need to create this dirt area. And in order for it to work, where we're going to have some of this peeking through and some of this peeking through, if we were just to do it here and introduce a different color down here, they wouldn't work together. It wouldn't be harmonized, if that makes sense. So were you in our class, Christina, when we did the tulips? This was a tulip. We did a field of tulips, and it was the same thing. And we did.
Sorry.
You were?
I was not there.
Okay. So these are other really good lessons that Leah talked about. I want to say it was springtime last year. We did a lesson on field flowers, and there was like orange flowers, and then we had one with tulips, and it was trying to work the foreground and, you know, the playing with the trees and then the distant mountains all working together. And so there's also some artists will say, you know, paint with a limited palette. What does that mean? That means pull out 26 and that's all you have. Have a good range of value and that's all you paint with. It's tricky. It's hard. So, and I challenge you to do that. So it forces you to think about the value, and it forces you to think about how you can use the colors all throughout the painting. Whenever you're painting with one color here, you're hitting it maybe up here. So it's a good question. I'll take this picture for you so you can see.
Yeah, my only other question was like you know how there's a 2 on the right corner?
Mhm.
I couldn't understand why the 2 on the lower right is not the same value as the middle blue, because they looked similar to me on the photo.
So that's a good question. So photos don't always tell the truth to you, right?
Okay.
So we have to think about what really would it be when we're standing there, and how do we, and this is just our base. We haven't even layered on top yet. So this is just our base. So we're thinking, how are we going to make this? If we did this all really dark, then it wouldn't read properly. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you here. You just give me some time. But no, those are good questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that looks good, Christina. I saw your sticks. Good. So you can do a dry rub, or you can do alcohol wash. It's up to you, whatever you have today for the underpainting. So, and literally I have my roadmap here. So I'm just gonna sketch this in and do my trees. This is just with the blue spruce. And I did like that kind of coming up here. And this one was pretty massive. It's a good anchor. And just massing in. I'm using what I drew here. Super simple. So now using this, I'm going to go in with my dark, and I'm going to come back in. And I'm going to bring this down. That. I'm going to go to my lightest lights. So I've put in my darkest darks. I'm going to go to my lightest lights, my sky. Now I'm going to go to my mid values. That's it. And you say, what the heck are you doing? This looks crazy to me. I know, it does. It looks a little bit strange and not exact, but we aren't getting there yet. It's going to take just a little bit more time to build up. Yeah, that looks good, Jackie. So I have, where is it? Some pipe insulation foam I'm just going to use to rub it in. But you can do an alcohol wash if you like. Looks good, Robin. Good job. And then I'm just going to start with my lightest lights, and I'm just going to push this into the pastel paper. It's okay if the blue kind of gets in there. It's not a big deal. And I'm just pushing this in. One, I mean, we're toning the paper. And I always start with the lightest lights, just like with the alcohol wash. And
I'm worried if I do an alcohol wash, it'll take too long to dry.
oh, not a problem. We're in no rush. You can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go right ahead. I encourage.
And you start with the lights.
Yes, and so if you're doing an alcohol wash or even the blending, like I'm doing the dry rub, start with your lights because you want to keep your tool, your blending tool or your alcohol water as clean as possible for as long as possible. So now this is just very out of focus. It's blended. There's not a whole lot that I'm going to come back over on that. And that's the whole point. Because we still have the opportunity right now to correct. We've just kind of laid out the big shapes, the masses of shapes. So the first going over it again was the composition. We went through the design, looked at all the elements, adjusted as needed. Then we decide what's the overall, do we want to paint it looking exactly like the picture? For learning purposes, that's always important. And I encourage that. As you work through the process more and more, you will feel more comfortable veering off with different color palettes. But for now, we'll focus on the local color, what we see. And then we decided there was a lot of green and our complementary color is red. And we went with a red violet. You can do solid red if you want. It's not wrong. And now we've decided to either use an alcohol wash or a tool to blend. So this is kind of our step, our process. So once you're done,
Hi.
we're just thinking about what's our next step. Our next step is going to be reinforcing the darks. So we're going to come back in with either a darker blue or purple. I'm going to use a darker purple stick first, and then I'm going to add a little bit of green to the trees. I'll kind of establish a little bit of the mountains, work some sky, and then work the foreground. So that's going to be the process for today. So I'm going to bring up on my iPad the picture that I have. So where is the light coming from? The light in the picture appears to be coming from the left-hand side. So it's going to be over here. So keeping in mind where I'm going to lay my darker greens and my lighter greens. And remember distance, it gets a lot lighter and bluer and gets a little bit grayer. So keeping that in mind. we're still at shapes. So I'm going to go with my dark purple. And I'll take a picture and show you.
And have you moved to, are you moving to soft pastels now? Or are you still
Yep.
doing the hard?
You can, I'm doing soft pastels. You can, good question. You can do medium. The process is to try to start out with the hard to the medium to the soft, just because they fill up the tooth of the paper so much. So let's see here. Good, Jeannie. Good, Christina.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's great. So now this is a point where you can look at your picture now that you have your underpainting and see, do my trees all look the same heights? Do I have like soldiers where they're all lined up? Do I want interest, I want variety, I want different heights. So go back into your painting now and really look at your trees, look at your mountains and see where can I adjust. Well, I can see where I can adjust on mine. So this is where we want to go back in and adjust. I really do like this big tree, so I'm going to keep them like this. I think I might move them over a little bit more, and that's okay. I'm using just the edge of my pastel. See how I'm just kind of scratching. I'm not drawing each limb, just still. I'm gonna add another one over here. I like that. And these are fine here. I'll put some of this back in here. And I do like this kind of creeping up. I think I lost a little bit of that, so I do want that to have that. So just coming back in and reestablishing. And he's not, I mean, when you're painting trees, really look at what kind of tree you're painting. These, to me, I don't know where this picture was taken. It was on a site that photographers allow artists to use. And to me, this actually looks like somewhere up in Alaska. Maybe Canada or some high alpine, because these trees look like spruce trees, or you see how real slender they are and all the way down. They don't get real bushy like firs. So that's important too. That's a very telling sign when you're painting. Really look at what kind of trees you're painting. So it's on the kind of on a hillside here. I feel like I need to bring this guy back in. So again, I even just made it not very interesting the first get-go, but this is the time to fix. And all of these little areas, see the light where the mountain is, we're going to come back in and carve with our pastel to negative shapes around these trees. So we just are having an idea of placement. And I kind of like the idea like we did where it's like, what's back in here? Kind of, you can see it's like it kind of goes down into the valley. So I might have another little tree here to kind of pique your interest, right? We get to design. The trees are here. We're just deciding where we want to place them. Okay. Still, I think that's okay. Okay. I'll take a picture here. Good, Jackie. So again, you've got your trees in, and now you'll be able to carve in and around your trees to give that variation of height. So like see the negative space that comes down here is a little lower than this space, and this is lower. And so that's what you're going to be envisioning right now, is maybe I need to bring some of my darker tree up here. So it's just kind of like thinking about now, that's your next step.
Yeah, I might just run into the bathroom and blow dry this.
Oh yeah, yeah, not a problem. That looks good, Natalia. I love it. I love the drips. It's pretty. This is the part about pastels, is the time it takes to finally layer and get to the ending, and that's where we always want to just jump to, is the ending part, right? So it takes time to build up our layers. So
I kind of feel like it's done.
I think you could be done.
Yeah.
You could leave it. I mean, it looks like the sun is like setting and glowing. And you know, that's another thing, Natalia, is that you, in the color selection, yours is telling maybe a different story. And that's the beautiful thing, is that you set it up compositionally, it reads really well, and yet you changed some colors and now it's reading like a sunset. And right? And so like that's amazing. I love it. Go with it. I mean, you can continue on, or you can start a new one. That's
Yeah, I like this one, fun, but I want to try the field, so I definitely will do this.
That's okay. That's okay. So let's see, we've got our darks, and now we're going to go back, and you can kind of see we're going to go back to our lightest lights. We're going to address the sky, and I chose a turquoise and some warmer as it moves down into the horizon. I know in the picture it kind of looks like a blah day, but we get to decide. So that's the part, is I'm gonna do a turquoise, a light turquoise. So I'll show you here, and I'm just gonna come up to the top part, not all the way down to the mountain yet. And that's because as we get closer to the bottom, it gets warmer, typically, letting some of that pink shine through. And then I'll take pictures of what I have here so you can see. You can do a blue if you would like. Ooh, Emma, I like that. I like the connection. I mean, honestly, this is the part that really, really helps connect this piece to this piece, is that path. I know it seems strange, but just trust me. So I'm just checking to see if this is going to be, it might be a little too dark in value, and that's okay. I can come back with my pink. And I'm just going to lightly glaze over the bottom part and knit these colors together. Set it aside. I'm going to come back with my light pink and just glaze. These are also great with the new pastel as blending tools. So it's just kind of adding that pink back into it. Don't spend too much time in one area. Easy to do. And I did come over my mountain, because then I'm going to come back in with my mountain color and address that. So this is our first pass through. We're just laying our colors in. We haven't got to our refining part yet. All right. So now we kind of need to decide about our distant mountains. How blue do we want to go? And I pulled some. I think I'm gonna try these too. Ooh, that's pretty, Christina. Good. Good job on your trees. Good. Lots of variety. Excellent. So the next step for you is going to be the sky.
I'm going to try and blend. I have a very bright turquoise and a very pale blue. So
Sure.
I'm going to, if I can layer one over the other.
Okay. That's the best part. So
You know,
yeah, go ahead.
that I bought one of those pads, and my paper is curly. I don't like that.
Oh, okay. So real quick, the two colors that I sent over for you guys that I'm going to use, the color on the left is like a gray blue, and I'm going to put it over my pink, and the lighter blue is going to go on my back mountain. For those that maybe you can see on my picture, I'm doing what's called a hinge. And this is how you do it for those, if you've never done it. It will hold your paper down so it doesn't buckle or curl. So you're gonna do essentially like this, like take a piece of tape, so this is the sticky side, and you're gonna take your pastel paper. Let me grab a piece here. Small piece, if I have one laying around somewhere. Oh, let's see if I can grab this. I do this on all my paper, and so you'll take it and you'll put it right on the back side like that, and then you'll take another piece of tape and you're gonna come over like this, like a T. This is called hinging, and you've created a hinge, and then when you put it up, like I do right here, it's going to hold it and it's going to be flat, and then you just do another piece and you kind of pull it taut, and you can put one on the back and then over the top, and you create a hinge. Then when you're done, you can just pull this right off and the tape can stay there just like that.
I'll do that right now. Thank you.
There's a new, I'm going to say new, I haven't used it, but it's paper. It's called La Carte. I don't know if any of you have used it. I guess it doesn't, I mean, look what UART can do. It can curl. That's probably the biggest complaint from Pastels using UART paper. This is a 240, and yes, I did run it under the faucet and wipe off my previous disaster, but I can still use it. It's just curls. And hinging is one way to fix it, but the La Carte paper, I guess you can just use it and it doesn't do the curling. And so a lot of pastels have kind of switched to using that paper. I just am trying to use up what I have before I buy more. So, and I can look for it. It's called La Carte. Pastel paper. Is that it? No. I'll have to find the name of it and send you a picture of it. I've heard that it's just amazing. So for now, do the hinging, Christina. That should help.
Okay.
Okay, so mountains. Let's try these two. See how it works. I'm gonna just lightly let some of this.
That's the grey blue.
Yep. And I'm coming straight down. Yeah. Might need to go a little darker, but we'll kind of see how this works. And this is going to be my lighter. And I'm varying the pressure and direction. Kind of looking at the negative shapes like I was talking about earlier, squinting my eyes. I'm going to let that sit for a minute. And as we come down, it does get a little bit lighter and warmer as we're coming in, even though it is in the distance and cooler. So it's within that color here that I might bring in just something a little bit change in value here and in here. But we're gonna tackle that here shortly. We're just kind of laying down our colors to see how they're all working together. Does anyone have any questions? All right, so we've done the sky, we've laid in the mountain. Now we're going to the trees, and then we'll start into the foreground, and then we'll work back into the final piece of redefining. So trees. So we're thinking, you know, where the light is coming from our left. So lighter on the left-hand side. We've got some darks. We've got this section of trees that need to be a little bit cooler because they're kind of pushing into the distance. And these are a little bit more off to the side, and we can decide if they kind of want to be equals, right? So let's go in with a dark, cool green. This is a soft pastel. And I'll take a picture. This is what it looks like. So that's what it looks like on the paper. This is the stick. So it's got more blue in it when I say cool. Okay, so I'm looking at my picture and I'm just coming in. Using the edge. Not doing limbs yet. I like that. Got some cooler side here, not getting all the sun. Maybe some back in here. couple over here. Okay. So there's just the blue-green. Okay. Might bring some of that cool green down into the foreground. It's good to have it down in here. So as I'm looking at the trees, I'm thinking, okay, I need to go a shade lighter and a shade warmer for where the trees, to give them looking like in front of some of these distant trees. So, but I'm going to stay kind of in the same value. So this is we'll see how this works. It's got more yellow in it. I'm gonna let some of that purple shine through. Bring some over here. Just letting my pastel drift over some of these, just staying kind of to the left side of these trees.
Oh dear.
Bring a little bit down into here. I'm going to do one more color. We're going to do a more blue-green to establish just a little bit of more distance of the trees. I like to stick with about 3 layers, 3 colors when I'm doing trees. If it's all about the trees, obviously it can be endless, but 3 seems to be a good amount when I'm thinking about like variation in color. I've got, you know, a darker, a mid, and then a lighter. And so I'm kind of gonna come in here with these and establish maybe some distant shrubbery, maybe in the back here. Some trees in the distance. Just like that. I need more of a light, but bluer blue. That's going to be too dark. So I'm thinking about here. Nope, that's not gonna work. Now we're just coming in and we're carving into the trees those negative shapes.
So right now you're doing a bluer green,
Yeah, it's just a little bit bluer.
and it's like the shadow within the tree.
Yep, and it's just kind of coming in a little bit bluer, and I'm just carving in those negative shapes, and I'm pressing a little bit harder. I've kind of decided that this is a good value, and so I'm gonna continue on. We're making that decision like, is this gonna work? I've got 2 trees here. And I think I'm going to come back in with a dark green. That's black. See if I can find a dark green like a new pastel. Just reestablish those trees a little bit. Sorry, guys. Let's see if this. I've got a tree coming here, and then I liked that other tree. I lost them. I wanted them back in there. I'm just putting in the tree trunks a little bit. Saying, okay, these guys are back in here. And then back here, come back in. These trees. So notice how you can, it's kind of a back and forth dance where you're cutting in the negative, then you're coming back with the green over it, then going back and forth, back and forth. I'm gonna put my green. And then that tells me, okay, this green needs to go lighter. This green back in here needs to go lighter compared to that. Okay, like I said, let's not spend too much time on our trees, because as you can tell, I can spend this is just coming back in, adding our variation of greens. And I noticed that it needs to just be darker. So I'm gonna press a little harder. Not going out too far because this tree is like a little spruce. This one over here is wobbly. And then come down with that blue. Distant blue. Now I'm gonna make more intentional marks. Still letting some of that pink come through.
I am having a good time.
That's good.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, I like that, Robin. Good. Very nice. I like that, Emma. That's pretty. It's so cool to let that underpainting come through. It looks, I mean, it just vibrates. When you have that blue on that orange and that pink, you can see in Emma's, if you zoom in, where it just gives so much more interest. And that's great, Christina. It's really pretty. You know, same with you. You know, you're now blending. The one thing that you can do with the sky with that yellower and turquoise is come in now and blend that line.
Okay.
So it doesn't really show as much. You can do that with your finger. I would take a new pastel. Very nice.
I just realized I stained it in the middle there with like, is that,
Oh, that's okay.
it must be alcohol, right? But I can just color over it, no?
Yeah. You mean not in the sky portion?
Yeah, next to the tree, there's like a big blotch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. You just take a lighter new pastel and come right over it. I do like maybe a very light yellow, if you have one.
Okay.
Yeah, or even a light blue to blend. Ooh, Jeannie, very nice. So you give variation to your trees. You can bring out with a hard pastel with your green, and you can just come in with the edges and just tap, and it gives it a little bit more variation. Okay, let's see. We got one more. Yeah, Jackie, nice. So for you, Jackie, you're gonna have your hillside. It's gonna be coming down a little bit more. So what you can do is your flowers can kind of stand up a little higher.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'll show you how to do that. I love the blue that you put in the distance. It's like vibrating. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a Rembrandt
I
pastel.
love that blue. On your sky portion, I would come in with some warm turquoise if you have it, like a light turquoise.
Let me see.
So we've got, I feel like the sky and the hillside are creating this division. And so I need to bring in some blue, lighter blue, to not have so much of that division. Which is fine. It's just adjusting. And it might be where this hillside kind of needs to not be so flat. So he's going to come up. Like that. Yeah, almost on the picture, it looks like you can't quite see on the screen, you can't quite see the sky, but. All right, we're almost on the home stretch here. All right, foreground. So I'm gonna kind of stick with some bright pinks to kind of echo up there again. This is a warmer, bright pink.
Pink. Okay.
I know. Don't worry.
I'm gonna trust you.
Don't worry. I'm gonna even bring in some warm salmon. It's like a gold.
Huh.
So what we're doing right now is we're building up the dirt, right? We're giving it a little more interest. The lighter pink is kind of distancing, and you know, we've got this lovely pathway that we're kind of creating right through the sneak of these trees. And so we're creating that.
Did you
And
say the orange?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you say that was pink and orange?
I did.
Okay.
I did. These are the 3 that I used. And very light. And I'm gonna spray it with some fixative because I like how it seals it and then creates a texture. You don't have to. This paper I'm using today, I think is like 600 grit, so there's not a whole lot of tooth of the paper that I can layer. But see how we still are retaining this pink, just like we have up in here, and more pink here and up into the hillside. It's still reading together. It's still working together. So I'm gonna spray it, and I'm just gonna hit it in the foreground. Again, this just seals. I recommend doing this outside, but it stinks bad. You can use hairspray if you want even. It will darken a little bit, but you can see it kind of gives like these little splotches, which I like, kind of creates texture. And what's gonna happen is I'm going to come back over with some greens, and it's gonna skip over that red and brown, and it's gonna be really pretty. So what time is it? Okay, we've got time. All these flowers, they're pretty small. And we know when, like if we were standing in the meadow, these would be bigger right in the front, and then they kind of get smaller and smaller to where it's just like distant. And we can do that. And I'm going to do a little bit of that. But I'm also going to kind of maybe make these flowers a little bigger in the front because I like them. And I'm going to add, it looks like we've got some, if I zoom in, we've got these really pretty like white lacy flowers and yellow. And I might even maybe put some purple in there. I don't know. You guys can decide. More important is just kind of looking at the shape of the flowers. Does anyone even know what kind of flowers these are? They almost look like, oh, I don't know. They're very, very,
Just wildflowers.
They might be dandelions.
you think so?
If that were my lawn, I'd be really angry. No, actually, they don't really look like dandelions, but the
No,
color
like,
looks like dandelion.
Exactly.
No, we have a lot of these in California. I just don't know what they're called.
Yeah, remember that picture you sent, that poppy field?
But those are orange. These are a different kind.
Yeah, but they remind me of that shape, like these little irises, but they're not irises. I should ask my sister. She knows about flowers. Okay.
These look like just like an alpine wildflower. I think they're not like a garden flower.
No, I agree. So now we need to arrange our flowers. If we were just to cover all these little dots everywhere, it would just look like a bunch of polka dots and not really appealing in my mind. So we kind of want to follow the path idea, and we want to be intentional about where we put our flowers. So this is the part where you get to be the artist and decide. So we're going to mass in some colors. I'm not going straight to the yellow. I'm going to take in some of that, it looks like a little bit of the lacy flowers. I'm going to use this kind of soft, almost like a peach.
Okay.
I think I'm going to just put some back in here. And I'm just massing, I'm saying massing in, but just putting a little bit here.
Oh.
And then with the yellow, it would be kind of nice to maybe do like an orange and then with a yellow, building it up. So that's an idea. Just testing on the side here. I've got this warmer yellow, and I've got this green, which would be probably kind of nice in the distance, and even a lighter yellow. Why am I using 3 colors? It's just, it gives it more interest and depth than if I were just to lay one color down. So let's do some mass of orange. This is a medium, and I'm just gonna just laying it down.
Unfortunately, I have to head out early today, although I'm
Okay.
so excited about where this is. So I'm gonna watch the rest of the video later.
Good job.
Okay,
Thank you so much for coming.
This was great. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, yes. Have a good day. So this is another part where you can bring your mat in. So why am I doing this right now? Well, I'm kind of trying to decide, what do I need to adjust and fix? I need to obviously adjust those trees. This is kind of like, I don't know what's going on there. I need to fix that. And then the orange, I was kind of going down a little farther here. So I think I'm gonna I want my orange to lead back here. So as we get into the back, it's gonna get cooler and duller. So I'm using a cooler and duller color. These are gonna be bigger in the front.
Huh.
I'm pressing a little harder. And you're thinking, why are we still on orange and not yellow yet? I know, seems strange. Don't worry. I'm going to use this light yellow, creamy yellow. Just kind of popping it, dragging it, not doing a whole lot, just a little bit over in here.
Oh, that's beautiful, Natalia.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
I know, I love it. I love it. And the yellow. So beautiful. And look at within that pink too, Natalia, and that orange, the red orange with the purple.
It's cool.
Mhm.
So see how you can use that color to really, really bring in. It's just beautiful. And now
Definitely fun.
you what?
Definitely fun.
It is fun. And we're just, you know, creating out of this scene our own meadow and trees.
There's
So
a
do you, what was that?
she kept the drips, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that.
So now I'm going to bring in some of this green that I was using earlier. And just dragging it in here. Not covering it all up.
Oh, okay.
So see how that dark path still reads dark and we're letting it shine through underneath the foliage? See how it's still there and it's still reading for us? That's the part that is important, is establish a ground, an area that leads our eye. This is just dark green. Okay. Now I want to come in with those flowers. I think I decided to do this really bright.
Would you mind
yellow.
taking a picture where you are though?
Oh,
I'm
absolutely. Yes.
starting with flowers. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Oh, very nice.
So now I'm going to come in over these. Whoops, that is very soft. And just add in these flowers. And they're going to be maybe a little bit back in here, some out here. I'm just pushing. Don't want to go all the way off the edge of the paper, but it's okay to kind of have some smaller ones live out in this area. We just don't want them to be completely coming off the page. I'm just tapping. These are smaller in the distance. It's just a little bit of color, but not a whole lot. Okay, let me see. Ooh, Jeannie. Good job on the trees. That's looking really good. Yeah, much better with variation. Good. Yeah, and oh, I like your foreground with all your different colors. That's really pretty. So you can take your bright colors whatever flowers you want. If you want to make them even brighter, you can spray it with hairspray or fixative, or you can just get some real soft and just touch it. So you can see with my my yellow, see how that orange underneath it really vibrates. So now I'm going to come back in with some more green, and I'm going to use a hard pastel, and I'm just going to add some foliage, and I'm just going to go straight up like this. And it's a bright green. Is it in our picture? No, doesn't have to be. We are creating that. I'll show you. Now, if you wanted to put in the whatever, what was I going to say, the snow, this is the time. If that's something that interests you and you would like to do that, I'm going to fix these trees. Now it's looking back and refining. Is there places that I can refine? Is there places that are working? This is where, you know, we need to step back and assess. I try to do like a little checklist that I say, ooh, these areas I need to address. These areas, they're okay. Because a lot of times we're up and close to the painting, and sometimes when we're that close, it doesn't read right. We need a little bit of space. So, and we'll bits of pieces of the pink. Like, I know that this needs some attention. Doing negative shapes is not super easy. Takes time. Same with like doing skies where we call them sky holes. It takes practice. I'm just blending the sky here a little bit better. Like this needs to come down a little bit. Do a little bit of variety. And you can put as many flowers as you want in the front. I think less sometimes is better. Yeah, I think that looks great, Christina.
So much fun.
That's okay.
But yeah,
That's
they're
okay.
all. If when I'm adding yellow, they're just kind of not the brightest they can be.
Oh, sure. And that's okay. There's a few have a few Terry Ludwigs, but even like the new pastel, if you spray it and then you can use those brighter colors over it, it will show up a little bit better.
Or I should use my Sennelier ones. I only have new pastel here.
Oh, use your Senneliers. That's what I'm using right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
will.
those are much creamier, and you can see that they were breaking off, but they're going to show up a lot better than
Okay.
yeah, the new pastel. Okay, so let me see, Jackie. Oh, that's nice. Good. Good. So, again, for Jackie, yeah, do you have questions?
Me?
Did you say you had, I thought you said you had something.
No, I know my hillside. I've done my, angles are a little different.
So you can go back in and correct them. And the way you can do that is bring the bottom of your trees down a little bit farther.
Okay.
So you can just take your dark green and just bring it down to where your hillside needs to be.
Mhm.
But I think it's great. And then you can bring in just a little bit of a lighter color right in here.
Mhm.
Either like a lighter blue or lighter green. So we're kind of like going in. But I think it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, good job. This
Thank
is
you.
a lot. Ooh, nice, Jeannie. Yeah, I love it. I love the flowers. So you
I liked the underpainting coming through so much, I added more pink to the flowers.
yeah. So right, see how much that pink is nice and vibrating. It
And then I put a
really,
little more pink at the top in the sky.
I
too.
know exactly. I love it too. And I'll go back in and add more on the trees and stuff, but I think that is awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yep. It looks great. Everyone did really well today. I know it's taken me a while to get to where I can paint and add colors in like the foreground here, you know, where you're adding that bright red and browns and it's like, this doesn't make sense, but it really does once you start then layering over the top of it, because you know that's not going to be the end all be all color. But as we added those dark colors here, you can see here it's lighter, but we still have those darks and it's still directing our eye. And that's what we want. And then you can just keep going. I mean, I just find it really fun. And I have these new pastel. I kind of need to get more variation in the colors. I used to have a nice dark green. I don't know where it's disappeared. But, and then when you're looking at where your sun, that's where you want to hit it with the lighter colors. And I'm just dragging it. You can use a cooler color in the back. And I like the green and the pink. Get a little bit of that trunk in. Even though it does appear to be super dark, you have to be careful. All right, you guys, I think we're coming down to the stretch. Let's see what we have. He's bald. Hilarious.
Work around.
So for next class, it will be, let's see, the 20th. So not next Sunday, but the Sunday of the 20th will be the next class for pastels. I don't know if Leah's going to fill in anything next Sunday for this time slot. My guess is that she's not going to do a change until April. So unless she opens up this time for people to just drop in and do like a drop in, you could reach out to her and ask her. So not next week, but the following weekend, we'll have a class. So keep at it.
Sorry, did you say no? I missed the announcement. Are we?
Oh, yeah. So I am scaling back teaching. So I'll be doing just a couple days this month, a couple days next month, and then starting in April, she's going to have rotating artists that are going to come in and do like a 3 class. So it'd be 3 weekends. The one in April, Emma's going to teach on using Procreate through the iPad. And how to use that. So you're going to still be able to do your pastels, and most likely you'll kind of see me joining in the class along with you guys. But I'm going to step back from the teaching role just because I've got a lot on my plate right now, and I just need to free up some more time. But I am still here, like Jeannie asked. I'm still here. Please send over the thread if you have questions or if you're working on anything. I'm always here to help out. I don't ever want to, and I'll probably come back at some point, but for now, I just need to focus on some stuff here at the house.
Okay.
So, but yeah, ooh, that looks beautiful, Natalia. Gorgeous. That turned out really great. Do you love it?
I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
The choice of colors for the underpainting really made it.
Isn't it cool? I agree.
Yeah.
That's honestly, look how much, I mean, this is a great picture, but look how much your painting is just like popping, and the colors, and it's just so vibrant. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, there you go.
We're much better than Mother Nature.
Right? We are. This is our inspiration, but we get to make it our own unique way. And I'm hoping just that you experiment, you know, that you start somewhere with these colors, and then it just, look at what happens. So cool. I love it. Turned out really beautiful. And like you said, Jeannie, I'm adding some of my pink back in too, because I love it. All right, you guys. Keep sending pictures over. Jackie, keep working. It looks good. Try it again. Try it again. You know, you've already painted it once. Keep going. It's important. So, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Like
Hi, and thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.